I've always dreamed of seeing a collection of classic cars. Do you, by any chance, have a couple of vintage ones I could take a look at? My dad asked. My husband didn't miss a beat. He played along perfectly and said, "Of course, I've got a few." And the two of them headed out together to admire my rich husband's car collection, which, in reality, actually belonged to my boss. Meanwhile, my mom stayed inside. She came closer, lowered her voice, and confessed, "We're just so relieved you married a wealthy man because we're struggling with the mortgage. We're scared we might lose the house." I froze, staring at her in complete shock. But she wasn't done. She went on, "Since you're living in this mansion now, surrounded by vintage cars and servants, surely you can convince him to help us out." It hit me like a jolt. After all these years, the only reason my parents finally reached out was because they wanted access to my husband's money. They'd never cared about me. That realization cut deep, and a storm of emotion swirled inside me as I waited for my dad to return with my husband. Tension hung in the air. When they finally came back, I took a deep breath and decided it was time for a straight-up talk. I turned to my dad and asked him point blank if what my mom had said was true. He hesitated for a second, then answered, "Honestly, I never expected you to get married, let alone to a rich man. And now that your husband has everything, it wouldn't hurt if he shared some of it with us." My husband and I were stunned. My dad went on, explaining that he really didn't have the money for the mortgage, and he couldn't ask friends for help because it would damage his reputation. Seeing the way my parents were so desperate and so sure they could cash in on my husband's supposed wealth, I decided to follow through with my revenge. With a sly spark in my eye, I looked at my dad and said, "You know what, Dad? We can help with the mortgage, but on one condition. You have to publicly apologize to me and admit you were wrong to cut me off 8 years ago. And you have to do it in front of the whole family, and our friends at a gathering will organize." My parents were caught off guard, but they didn't really have a choice. Reluctantly, they agreed to my terms. Over the next few weeks, I set up a big family gathering and invited relatives and close family friends. My sister had no clue what was really going on. She couldn't understand why, out of nowhere, our parents had decided to reconnect with me after all those years. I deliberately didn't tell her about my revenge plan. I knew her morals might kick in, and she could easily spill the truth to our parents.